Good afternoon. My name is Christian Sprunger. I'm an Assistant Vice President with NHA Advisors. We are the city's municipal financial advisor. Today I'll be talking to you about the proposed 2022 lease revenue bond financing for street improvements and phases 3 and 4 of the ERP implementation. This item went before Finance and Governance Committee on September 27th. Staff recommendation includes two actions. First, that the Board of Directors of the City of Oxnard Financing Authority authorize the issuance of up to 36 million Series A and 9 million Series B lease revenue bonds, and authorize city staff to take steps as needed to complete the financing. Second, that the City Council adopt a similar resolution authorizing the issuance of the Series A and Series B bonds. To introduce the city's financing team, in addition to the city and NHA, Best and Krieger will serve as disclosure counsel, Nixon Peabody will serve as bond counsel, Stiefel Nicholas will serve as underwriter, and Computer Shared Trust Company will serve as a trustee. All of these firms have experience working with the city. The city's general fund currently has about $70 million of outstanding lease revenue bond debt. As you can see in the graph to the right, aggregate annual debt service is about $7.7 million per year through 2028, and then stepping down thereafter. In May 2021, City Council directed staff to work toward a minimum average pavement condition index, or PCI, of 70 for the city streets. In developing the capital improvement plan for that project, city staff identified a bond funding need of about $30 million. In addition, the city is in the process of implementing a Tyler Munis Enterprise Resource Planning Solution, or ERP. In 2019, the city financed phases 1 and 2 of the ERP implementation, and the city has identified an additional funding need of about $8 million for the implementation of phases 3 and 4. The total amount of money to be raised to fund projects from the 2022 bond financing is approximately $38 million. Lease revenue bonds require a lease agreement and a corresponding property to lease. There are existing city properties that are encumbered under old financings that can be released once the prior debt is paid off or refunded. A refunding of the 2012 lease, which has approximately $2 million remaining, can release the $19 million City Hall and Civic Center properties. City staff and the financing team will be analyzing the economic benefits of a refinancing as the proposed financing progresses. As mentioned previously, there will be two series, Series A of approximately $32 million and Series B of approximately $8.2 million. These two amounts are based on current market estimates and are subject to change, but will not be higher than the not-to-exceed amounts identified in the resolutions. The 2022 A bonds will be repaid over a 25-year term on a level annual basis, with estimated annual debt service of about $2.3 million per year. This series is represented by the dark blue bars in the graph there to the right. The 2022 B bonds are expected to be amortized through fiscal year 2036-37, having a 15-year term to match the ERP's projected useful life. The 2022 B bonds will be amortized on a level annual basis through fiscal year 37 with an estimated $800,000 of annual debt service. That Series B is represented by the lighter blue bars in the graph to the right on top of the tax-exempt Series A. Based on current market rates, the aggregate debt service between the two would be approximately $3.1 million per year through 2036, and then dropping to about $2.2 million per year through 2047. These are based on current market rates. A final point on the structuring, both the 2022A and the 2022B bonds will be structured under the 2019 master lease structure and will be on parity with the outstanding 2019 lease revenue bonds. As part of the 2019 master lease structure, the city will be using a collection of properties as security. The list of potential properties that may be encumbered for the lease include City Hall, City Council Chambers, South Oxnard Branch Library, and the South Oxnard Senior Center. The financing will include the following documents. To start off, the resolutions, up there in the top left corner, they authorize the amendments to the 2019 legal documents, the bond purchase agreement, the preliminary official statement. These resolutions also authorize city staff to execute the documents for the 2022 bonds, provided that the final terms on those bonds are within the not-to-exceed parameters identified in the resolutions. The second box in the top row there, the first supplement to the indenture of trust, formalizes the relationship between the financing authority, the City of Oxnard, and the trustee. The indenture describes the key terms of the 2022 bonds, including the repayment terms and schedule, the prepayment provisions, other covenants related to the 2022 bonds, and other administrative items. In the top row, the far right box, the first supplement to the site lease details how the assets are leased from the city to the financing authority. On the second row, the orange box on the left, the first supplement to the facility lease details how assets are leased from the financing authority back to the city in exchange for annual rental payments made by the city to the financing authority. The first supplement to the assignment agreement details how the financing authority assigns the rights to receive annual rental payments from the city under the facility lease over to the trustee for the 2022 bonds. The bond purchase contract, second row far right, gray box, governs the relationship between the city and Stifel Nicholas, the underwriter. The underwriter will purchase all of the 2022 bonds from the financing authority and then will sell those bonds to investors. The resolution identifies not to exceed parameters related to the sale of the bonds, and the blanks in that document will be filled in on the day the bonds are sold to the public. Finally, in the bottom green box there, the preliminary official statement is the primary disclosure document for the 2022 bonds, and it provides bond investors with information about the 2022 bonds, the security for the 2022 bonds, sources of payment, the state of the city's general fund finances and operations. It outlines key risk factors for bond investors to consider. And then the preliminary official statement also identifies the continuing disclosure covenants the city will make with investors of the 2022 bonds. This document will be widely distributed to the investing public as the underwriter markets the 2022 bonds. Regarding timing, we're in the process of completing the credit rating process for the city's bonds. Following City Council's consideration of this item, we anticipate selling the bonds to investors in late October. At that point, the interest rates and the amortization on the bonds will be locked and final. We then plan to close in early November, at which point funds will be available for projects. This slide has the two recommendations that are before you. I'll pause on this slide. And then I'm happy to take your questions. This concludes this recording. Look forward to taking any questions you have during the meeting. Thank you.